Namaste, Brick.
Namaste, Bindo and everyone. How are you?
Namaste.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm recovering from yesterday. I got so sick of myself yesterday. I just had to quit thinking about all the expectations I was holding while I was with a group of men and they were talking about in a Bible study, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was going to explode. And so, yeah, I knew that was going to happen to me, but it's just fun to see how many expectations that I held that that came out yesterday in one hour.
So did you learn anything new from that?
You know, Bindo, I have to just kind of sit with it for a while, right? Because I just came home last night and I just said, "Wow!" Because I wasn't in judgment of myself, but I was fascinated by all the things that I did. Because I've never went into this world in this way. That's the only way I know how to say it. So, not. I want to change everything, Bindo. I want to make it better. I want to make it easier. It's quite fascinating actually when your focus is one to really see. That's all I can say. Almost overwhelming. Yeah.
That's right. And the best thing is to, instead of having the intention or expectation to then change or make a impact in the society and all, the best way to do is be a model to the world by doing that onto yourself. Let others be envious of your peace and the tranquility and serenity with which you live your life in the amidst of problems should be the way to make the change in the people. They should ask, what did you do? How are you so calm? How are you so peaceful? How are you so serene? That questions should trigger them to learn from you. That is the best way. Srini?
Namaste, Vindoji. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So, Vindoji, again, one question. I was thinking about that Friday discussions and even others' questions. So, I think what I was thinking is a person who is engaged in the practice of Shravana Manana Nididhyasana should keep away from the practice of Karma Yoga, is what seems logical. What do you say about that? Because
No,
otherwise it will be Samuchaya, right?
not Samuchaya. Samuchaya is, see, you're still not got it, Srini. The knowledge which we are talking is already there. You are that. But the only thing is that you have forgotten it, or you are not able to align yourself to that, thinking that you are the body, mind and intellect. So right now, with the knowledge shrouded in the misconception, you are doing karma. You are into action. All what is happening in between is that the shrouding of your knowledge of your true self becomes clearer to you. That doesn't take you away from the karma. But karma will be aligned from the point of view that you are not the one, the body, mind and intellect are the one. They are the mere instruments which are interactive in the empirical world. And they are not permanent, they are appearances. But not permanent, that is why they are appearance. Not because they don't have a reality. They have a reality in waking. But that doesn't mean that they are absolutely real. We are talking about something which is absolutely real, which is present in waking, dream and deep sleep as you, as the bodham, or as the awareness, consciousness. And that is there even now. You are the consciousness in waking, you are the consciousness in dream, you are the consciousness in the deep sleep. And you are the consciousness which is not changing. That's why you are able to know the changes between waking, dream and deep sleep. Therefore you are the changeless. And that being the reality, when the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana or any other activity is going on, you are not going to be the waker alone in the waking or the dreamer alone in the dreaming. You will be the waker with the knowledge of your true nature. In the dream, there is no need because you are not really carrying it forward. It's all like a daydream or a imagination in the waking. A dream is not separate from waking. In the waking itself, your dream is happening. So dream is a subset of your waking. Just like you are daydreaming, there is a dreaming which we call it as a subset of your sleeping or the waking itself. The waking is the one which is saying, I am dreaming, I am deep sleeping. But in reality speaking, there is only one state for us, which is either you are knowing yourself as the self or you are not knowing who you are. There are only two states, two situations available. Whether you know who you are or whether you do not know who you are, the truth is that who you are cannot be changed because that is a Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. So that is the eternal permanent truth that remains as a fact. And what happens is that when we do not know that, we superimpose our identification with the body-mind-intellect complex and then perform actions which are not done by us actually, but which is appeared to be doing by the misunderstood waker, who is now assuming that I am the body-mind-intellect complex and doing the activity. When the body-mind-intellect complex itself is transient in nature, the actions are also not permanent in nature. They also become part and parcel of that activity of waker. And then what happens? When you realize that neither the body-mind complex are you, nor the activities are, they are just nothing but expressions of awareness only. The body is an awareness, the mind is an awareness, the whole identity of the individuality is in awareness. The actions are in awareness. The empirical world is in awareness. Everything is in awareness, and this is the nature. Like all the waves are in the ocean only. Doesn't make the Atlantic wave ocean is separate or Indian Ocean is separate. It's all our nomenclature, what we have made. Same way, the body, mind, intellect, or the you, me, the world, all are our own creation. That aspect will continue, but without any impacting reality to it. They will continue to be there. I'm not denying that the waking will not be there. As long as the mind, body, mind, the complex is appearing to the awareness, the relative empirical world of that body, mind, and intellect will be available. It is just like that. When a wave is rising, all qualities of the wave, like the movement towards the land or movement towards the back into the ocean, or the height, the bubbles, the froth, the curve, and where you can even, go for a boarding, in what you call sea surfing. All activities are in the wave, but the wave is a reality? No. Wave is nothing but the ocean. So as long as the wave is there, the appearance will be there, the qualities and the adjectives which we call it on the waves will be there. Same way, as long as this body is functional, the body will have the mind, intellect and individuality, and the individuality related an empirical world. My empirical world is different from your empirical world. We may have a common experience. We may have personal experiences. We will have subtle experiences which is not shared at all. So So all these things are nothing but the waves of awareness. Once we know that as an awareness, there is the samuchaya for that. The samuchaya we are denying is that awareness of my true nature as awareness. Can it have a Shravana Manana Nididhyasana in its activity? No. I misunderstood identity as the individuality. That can have a Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. And that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana is not the knowledge. That is still an indicator towards the other side of the river. But once you reach the other side of the river, these activities for plugging the holes, rowing the boat, reaching the other shore, all of them will be remembered as activities to reach it, but it was never that the other shore was always there, without which the rowing of the boat would not have happened.
So, to summarize what you said, are we saying that there is no samuchaya between karma and jnana, but there is a samuchaya between karma yoga and jnana?
No.
No, right?
Karma
Okay.
yoga is still in the karma and, and the methodology of knowing.
Correct. So that's...
knowledge is different from methodology.
Now, see, what I mean by Shravana Manana Nidhyasana is like the various prakriyas we have, right? Avastatraya Mimamsa, or the method of Kenopanishad, or something.
They are still in a state of ignorance only.
In a state of ignorance, no doubt. But we have the fundamental difference of Paravidya and Aparavidya, right? So, aren't...
Even both Para and Apara will be, Tebhyo Vilakshana.
That also I agree. That both Para and Apara is also, in a sense, in the field of Ajnana. But,
right.
But still there is a huge difference between Para and Apara, right? That's what I was comparing.
That is there.
Yeah. So in that case, when both are in a way asking to practice Karma Yoga and Jnana, Shravana Manana and Nididhyasana at the same time, is having the technical problem of both being completely different in nature, like Para and Apara, right?
No. The Karma Yoga, even Shravana Manana Nididhyasana is a Karma Yoga.
Because Shravana Manana Nididhyasana we should classify as Paravidya, right? And Karma Yoga should be classified as Aparavidya.
No. See, the thing is that the Paravidya is the only aspect is talking about the true nature of Atman or Brahman. That is Paravidya. Yaya Aksharam Adhigamyate. With which you cross over all names and forms. Right? That is what is called Paravidya. Now, that knowledge, Paravidya, is the culmination of Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. And that time, it is like the pole vault. You drop the pole and go across. Same way, you leave the boat and you are on the shore. Right? Same is applicable in the Paravidya of the knowledge. That the moment you have that realization that you are no more the individuality, thereafter, even that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana will be redundant. So Karma Yoga doesn't mean physical activity in the world alone. Even yoga, dhyana, all those things are also can be treated as whatever is used for Chitta Shuddhi. But there, when you are doing yoga and dhyana, if you have the attitude of that I am doing it for my selfish needs, then you are not only doing it in the wrong way, but you are also not doing it as a karma yoga. the selflessness or act of dedication and without the phalecha is what is called karma yoga. Now, when the Paravidya is being taught, what is it is being taught? You are already that, tadu tvamasi. You are already that. But you are not realizing. So what is being done is to do Shravana and Manana. And Shravana and Manana is for what? Avidya Nivaranam, or for removing the ignorance from our, apprehension as to who we are. That is, we are not looking with an expectation that I should know who I am. You can never know who you are because you are the subject and the object. There is no subject-object bifurcation in you. You are the subject or you are the object. In either case, there is no subject-object type of a knowing which can take place in yourself. You know it as yourself. That is what we call it as realization. In that state, what is happening is we have to be very clear that we do not get carried away by the, temporary experiences what the mind throws at us in the form of ecstasy, flash, lightning, etc. to divert our attention from who we are. Because even when they happen, the knower of those things are available. We should not get carried away by that experiences what were coming, because they are all the tricks of the mind which can deviate us from this. So if you think that I had a special vision or I had an ecstasy or I felt like in a flash of light, so many things way in which mind can detour us or deviate us. Make sure that even when those things are happening, you, the knower of everything, he was present there to acknowledge these things happening. That way, you are not getting diverted by the mind with its pranks to divert us, but you will be adhering or sticking to the path of realization with the process of Shravana and Manana. We have to be very clear and determined to focus our attention to where. Always focus attention on the Vijnadaram, the knower. The knower is my true nature. You call it as jnanam, or you call it as consciousness, you call it as awareness, doesn't matter. It has no name, actually speaking. All names are in the ignorance, because names and forms are part of the transactional world. You are beyond transaction. Avyavaharyam, achindyam. These are the two words you have to always keep it in mind. Non-transactionable and non-thinkable is what you are, because you cannot think about yourself. You cannot have any transaction in yourself. These are the two things which you have to remember.
Yeah, Binduji. And on one last technical point, it seems for me is this Karma Yoga has the what I don't know what to call, like Khyati or something of doership, but Shravana Manana Nididhyasana doesn't have the problem of doership, right?
It has.
Because like
Initially
only when you are
it will
desiring
have.
only when you desire something other than you is sorry, I don't know. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah.
You're audible.
So what I was telling is, it's only when you desire something other than you is the problem of doership, right? Like
No. Any desire, even desire of mokshatva, is a stumbling block in that process. Who will be mukta when you are already a mukta? You are a liberated self, even right this very moment. So why are you doing Shravana and Manana? Because I don't know who I am. or I don't have that knowledge, what is a conviction in me that I am that awareness. I am still having a hold on my individuality, or I am holding on to that individuality as Bindu. When I am holding that, I cannot be my in state as awareness. But when I treat myself Bindu as the name and form are related to my body, mind and intellect, which is in my awareness, there I don't call myself as Bindu. That state is something where Shravana Manana is not required further. Until then you need Shravana and Manana.
See, we have a saying like Atma Kamasya Ka Spruha, right? So,
Hmm.
so what is that sentence? That spruha which is referring is actually the fruit, like the fruit of either karma kanda or karma yoga, right? Not Atma Kama is the first part where it is the Paravidya, and
No.
right?
See, that is where that you have to, there is actually the word is a technical word. Atma Kama means he is not the one who is desiring Atma. He is engrossed in himself, is the meaning. Or he is in enjoyment of being himself. That is a person is called an Atma Kama, not one who is desiring to be an Atma. So the word Spriha, desire, is to intake one who is already engrossed in himself or enjoying in his own glory. Where can he have a desire to be in that again? Is the word, is the meaning of that word, Atmagamasya Kasvarha.
Okay, thank you, Bindaji. Yeah, that's thank you.
Thank you, Srini. Namaste, Sachidananda.
Namaste, Bindoji.
Namaste.
Yeah. I didn't really have any question. I
Okay.
just wanted to touch upon where we were on Friday. So I think like probably the question I asked was a little probably not properly worded, or it was not accurate. So just one thing I wanted to kind of bring up was like in terms of seeing, right? I mean, I think you mentioned about seeing in terms of like the sight or our senses. But this seeing that I'm talking about is more of like a it's you are that. I mean, it is more of that. There is no really there is no senses, intellect, anything involved. At least in my experience, it's more of I mean. That's why I wanted your guidance on this, and what is it that is happening, because it's like almost like seated in a witnessing kind of a posture, like witnessing kind of a experience, but it seems like everything is just coming, going, and it's um, like a something that's happening external to you. I mean, it's not that it all feels like one single flow that is happening, but it's not you. Like you are just seeing means in the, again, like not in terms of the sight. So that I just wanted to like clarify that and and get your thoughts on like what do you think about that? Like, is this something like I don't know how to put this exactly, but yeah, it's I just wanted to kind of mention that.
Yeah. Okay, Sachidananda, one thing which you have to remember, I was just telling this only to Srini. The mind has a very, very tricky role to play. It can give us a feeling that we are in a special situation or special place, enjoying the, peace, tranquility, serenity, etc. in our path to this spiritual recognition of our true nature. The mind, if it is giving any experience or anything, and you are knowing that, take it from the Shruti or from experience of the masters who have taught us all these things, that is the nature of mind. The mind, when it is peaceful, you will feel as if you have reached the destination. But it is still a mental process. All the thing what mind is doing is to quieten itself, whereby you feel that peace within yourself. But when these things are happening, is there a knower of that peace? You may not know that because you cannot know it. But if the knower is there who knows the peace or the shanti, which is there in the mind taking place, you have to understand that knower is what you are, not the peaceful mind. The peaceful mind is still part of the body. It is not that you are not progressed or reached or, achieved something. You have achieved something which many of us are finding it difficult to achieve, that peace and tranquility of the mind. But still, don't mistake it to be your true nature. Our true nature is our pure knowing principle. Can't even call it as a knower. Because when we are in that, there is nothing other than that. That is why in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is very clearly said, Yatrana Anyat Pashyati. There is nothing seen as otherness. So the Yatrana Anyat Vijanati. There is nothing known other as other. That should be very clear to us that in being myself, it is Prajnana Ghanam. It is in the state of pure awareness where there is nothing other. Otherness or any experience is not possible there. It is not an experience. It is a state of being in that awareness. Awareness, knowing awareness? No, it is not even that. Awareness cannot know awareness because awareness itself is in awareness. Therefore, it cannot know it as awareness. But people talk about it like that. We can only relate to the Upanishadic word of Chandogya, where Sanat Kumara tells Narada, Yatrana Anyat Pashyati Anyat Bijanadi Anyat Shrunoti Sa Bhuma Sa Vitneyaha. That is the Bhuma or Brahman, which is to be understood. Sa Vitneyaha means it is not that you should know that Atma. No. No, that is Atma. That you cannot know it. The same thing is told in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. Vitnyadaram mare kena vijaniyat, O Gargi. Oh no, Janaka. It's to Janaka he is talking about it. Yajnavalkya. How can the knower be ever known? The knower is knowing everything. That is why he is called all-knowing. Because all-knowing takes place in him, in that. And that is the word which Mundaka Upanishad also says. Eya aksharam adhigamyate. Yad jnatva sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. That is the question which is asked. Knowing which everything else becomes known. Everything else becomes known only in that knowledge. Because otherness can come only in that knowledge. So when you see the otherness, because it has the knowing principle in it, you see the otherness. But is the otherness true or not? You have to apply the logic that what changes is appearance and what is not changing is only one truth. And everything else in the world is changing. That experience of the peace and tranquility in the mind is also coming and going, or it is not remaining. So that definition itself makes it not the reality.
Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Sachidanand. Namaste, Ikule sir. Hello.
Namaste,
Yes.
Binduji. Namaste, Prakash.
Namaste.
Namaste, others.
Namaste.
I just have one simple question maybe. We can observe that right now the war is happening in the transactional reality, and also another war is happening in our minds. So by perceiving all these things happening around us, how can one be truly quiet at the same time if we are not acting to support someone or to help someone outside of us, which again, as you said before, like everything is the one and the same. Let's say if someone is asking some help, all these things, how it fits together, like is, hey, should we act like if some adharma is happening? So then there needs some desire, right? And you said like if there is a desire, then it's again a loop, because we are that which is the consciousness, right? So do we need to act if something is happening, or we just need to rest in, keep quiet that thinking, or, how to say, believing in this Upanishadic word that everything is one, and just keep quiet. These kinds of confusion, like how can we get a better clarity there?
I think you have, question is very, very clear to me. Absolutely no problem on that. Since it's a very rudimentary question, I will answer to it, but you have to catch up with some of the earlier recordings of mine in the YouTube or Spotify or Apple podcast, so that you will get clarity. But answer to your question, consciousness or awareness, what we is our true nature. We are consciousness or awareness. And it is in this consciousness or awareness we are experiencing the otherness, which can be the adharma, dharma, or relative, or friends, or family, or anything, the empirical world in total. Why the name empirical world is there as other to us is because we are not understood the nature of the empirical world. What we call it as vyavaharik, transactional world. The transactional world is there because there is an awareness which is bringing it to us as the otherness in the name and form, like the world, the relation, the emotion, the mind, the feelings, thoughts, all of them are knowable to me. So the knowableness of otherness to me is because I am awareness. In my awareness, when I know the otherness, I am accepting the otherness separate from me. But in reality, when I am accepting as the otherness, it is due to a ignorance in my part of not knowing the reality. The reality is that the otherness or the empirical world or the whole, family, dharma, everything is there because they are in awareness. If I remove awareness from them, I cannot even know whether there is anything existing or not. There is any possibility for anything to exist. So what is being understood? Even my feeling that I am an individual it is in the same awareness, and it is in the same awareness the otherness, the world, name, form, whatever may be the conditions are being experienced by me as other than me is also in awareness. So what is that awareness in which both me and the world is existing? That is what is the reality, because that is what is not changing. Whereas I kept on changing from childhood to the old man. The world has changed, the relationships have changed, the nature of objects have changed. So all these changes are happening. I am observing that. I am knowing the changes. And also all these changes being observed in the awareness now becomes a property of awareness or appearances in awareness. I cannot say even property of awareness because awareness doesn't have a property other than being awareness. So the names and forms are the properties. I got a name, Bindu, and then age, the definition, whatever maybe I have acquired over my memory. Same way, the world is also acquired over memory, has got names and forms. They are adjectives onto awareness, but being made different because I don't know the fundamental awareness in which I am existing and the world is existing. There is one true, real awareness in which this is happening. The moment I know that is the reality, the me as Bindu and this name and form is an appearance. Appearance in the sense not a imagination. Because it is changing, I call it as an appearance. What is not changing is not an appearance but a reality or a truth. Truth never changes. Same way the world also changing, therefore it is also called an appearance. When I know this, that the name Bindu and the name and form and everything is a changing aspect on awareness, same is the changing aspect of the world. I am seeing that awareness in which I am changing and the world is, the names and forms are also changing. When I have a pure, clear conviction that these changes will continue to happen because that is the nature of awareness in which I am adding names and forms, therefore it keeps changing. The true awareness in which they are all depending is not going through any change because awareness has not changed. The name and forms have changed. When this knowledge is convincing for me, I am not worried about happenings of the changing things. Dharma, adharma, love, hate, happiness, sorrow, win, loss. All those things are part of the changes because the world itself is changing. So it's values and beliefs given by the changing values and beliefs has no validity. So the dharma, adharma, morally, when I am aligned with my physical body, mind and intellect, will have validity. But when I am not aligning myself with the body, mind and intellect, I am neither being there as a present as an actor in this world or going to be worried about what is happening in the world. That is why dharma, adharma are all values and beliefs created. What was dharma once upon a time has become adharma, or what is adharma once upon a time has become dharma. This keeps on changing. So therefore I should not be worried about those things which are changing, because I am also this I which is not acknowledging the changes is not this I which I am the physical body, mind and intellect, but it is in that awareness which is being acknowledged. So in the changeless awareness, the changes are not going to make any impact. They are like waves in the ocean remains the same.
Yes, I understood, but can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so in that case, if dharma can be adharma at later stage, which is changing, I do agree. So that, for example, right now we are trying to understand what Adi Shankaracharya said, right, in Advaita Vedanta, and he came at one time where there was so much adharma, perceived adharma, and he tried to reestablish this philosophy again, right? So did he also done with some kind of desire, or he also did some act to reestablish this philosophy, right, at that time?
As an individuality, yes, he did that. But his knowledge and conviction is the reason why he was able to explain the intricate Upanishads with the correct meaning. You cannot say it is due to desire, or sometimes they call it as a reason for public goodwill or public goodness, the general goodness of the society. He didn't have the intention, but not knowing the reality of the Upanishads, when he started speaking, we, the ignorant people, attributed that he had a desire to make this known to everyone. So he wrote the commentaries and everything. Actually speaking, he would have written this as a soliloquy, or somebody asked a question and he gave the answer from his experience or his own understanding of the Upanishads. But we add value to it. That is always what is happening. Those who are in the transaction brings in names and forms, or the attributions on the name of the jnani, saying that he has a desire, he did this, he established matas, he did this or he did that, he did good, he did bad, all us from that point of view only. But from the person's point of view who knows the reality, he doesn't even utter a word what he is doing. But for him, there is no doership, no enjoyership. He is the one who is really speakingly the Atma Kama or Atma Reti, Atma Truptaha, means one who is engrossed in that, in the elixir of awareness. There is nothing other than that for him. So it is which side of the coin you are looking. Either it's head or tail. But the coin is only one. The truth is only one. Which side you are looking, you will see the head or the tail. But from the coin's point of view, it doesn't have a head or a tail.
Thank you, Vindaji.
Namaste, Karim.
Namaste, Bindoji.
Namaste.
Hope you are well. Namaste.
Yes, I am
Namaste, everyone.
I am doing well.
Good. Keep it up. Don't
Thank you.
change it. Okay, my question is about jhana, or question. Yeah, it is a question. I wanted to know more, go deeper in the understanding of jhana, how it manifests itself in thinking, or what it exactly was. So it brought me to the 8 levels of jhana of Buddhism. The first 4 levels are basically describing how to get the mind to the clarity of receiving higher knowledge and being able to hold the focus to the point that you're able to know. So to get to that place of knowing. So it's pretty clear how it gets explained in that. Now my question is, does Advaita or the Vedas have anything like that that put that whole concept of jhana in a very practical way? Because I found the Buddhistic approach very helpful.
The real explanation for jnana is the 7th verse, 7th mantra of Mandukya. If you have studied that, you will not have any question. Na anta prajnan, na bhi prajnan, na veda prajnan, na prajnan, na prajnan, na prajnana ghanam. That 7th mantra of Mandukya. Listen to that lecture series. You will know what is jnana. Because it cannot be said. It cannot to be said as what it is not.
Yes.
That is the only problem.
Yes. What the Buddha, I totally agree with you there, and I've written this down and I'm going to listen to it for sure. My point was, because I was able to see it, right? The way it got explained, to get the mind ready to that point of clarity that it doesn't get distracted, and it's holding space. That's the first 4 levels, related to the body-mind part of the ego, the I, and how to approach that. And then the higher levels go into that part to, yeah, I can't even explain it. When I was listening to it, I could see it really clearly, but to explain it, it's a lot harder because it wasn't a practice for me. So in that way, but I found that explanation, and maybe if somebody is looking to get clearer on that, it might be helpful. That's the only reason I brought it up. But I definitely am going to listen to the Mandukya, and it was 7, you said?
Yes, Mandukya 7th mantra.
Thank you.
And what you said is that there is a school of Buddhism which is very identical with Advaita.
Yeah, thank you, because I could recognize so much.
But there is a slight difference between that and Advaita is from the point of view of the definition of Vijnanam. There they define it as object related or the knowledge related of knowing, whereas Advaita talks about the knowledge as the knower. The slight difference between these two is that they call it as momentary. That knowledge is momentary in nature. When you are knowing one object to another object to another object, the objects are changing. So there is a knowledge in which objects are coming and going. But Advaita says that who knows the changes? That is the nature of the knower, not the knowledge in which it is changing. Ideally speaking, what Buddhists said, if you understand it in a special way, like that knowledge of the knower in which the objects are changing is what they have thought about it or they wanted to tell, but they missed the point. Advaita put the step one ahead and said that who knows the changes? That is what we are talking about. That's all the difference between the two.
Beautiful. I'll keep that in mind. That makes so much sense because I could recognize so much in it. So that's why I wanted to bring it up to you. Thank you for
Yep.
this.
Thank you, Karin, for having brought it up. Namaste, Neha.
Namaste, Binduji. Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm just here to listen and get
Okay.
knowledge. Yeah,
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we're getting close to just 1 hour mark and we have another half an hour to go. So if anybody in the audience wants to come up, the hand raising is open. Or if you are feeling like asking a question, you can just put it in the chat also. And then I've shared the links from where you can catch up on the replays for Bhagavad Gita, which is the ongoing session. And as Bindoji earlier mentioned, since we have more people in the audience, we're planning to go ahead with 5-day Bhagavad Gita classes. Instead of the Friday open Bhagavad Gita discussion, we'll have 5 days of Bhagavad Gita and Sunday will be the Advaita open discussion.
Celsius, to your question, horoscope or Jatakam, they're all part of empirical world or transactional world. They have nothing to do with spirituality.
Binduji, I have a question following up to that statement because I think a lot of the people, when they take up, especially the feeling I got was when they consider Vedanta or the Upanishads and then the Sravana Manana of methods of the knowing process. So many people think it is philosophy. Is it, I wanted to hear from you, how would you differentiate in that state what is philosophy and what is spirituality? And is there a role for that kind of clear definition needed to further convey the insights that is gained through Sravana Manana? That's my question, Binduji.
Okay. You're right that there is a lot of misconception about spirituality and philosophy. Philosophy is basically a subject where the content of the subject is mental in nature. You have to do with a analytical way in which you define it, you are processing it, and then accepting the definition as a fact. Whereas in the spirituality, especially in Advaita, I'll talk only from the Advaita point of view. The spirituality we are talking here is not a definition of a theory or a subject. Here the subject is our true nature. You cannot define it. But there is methodology whereby your ignorance of knowing yourself, ideally speaking, you can never unknow yourself. That's why I use the word awareness or consciousness, knowing, etc. in English. Brahman is a word which is used to explain the vastness or the all-inclusive nature of objects inside awareness. That is the definition of Brahman. Nothing is outside it. Sarvam Khalidam Brahma. That is the definition of Brahma. Or Prajnanam Brahma. That means consciousness. Awareness is Brahman, in which everything is in consciousness or awareness. So if I use the word Brahman, which was Patrick's question in the chat, is because I'm going to give a feeling that is something different from you. I don't want that aspect of it to creep in, even with a, inclination towards that. That is why the way the awareness or consciousness is used by me most of the time when I am explaining that, you can relate it to yourself. So spirituality, when looked from the Advaitic point of view, it is not something about outside things. It is about your own being or what you are truly is. This cannot be defined. That is why in the Taittiriya Upanishads it says that it is beyond the words and the mind, because it cannot be brought into any word which is from the memory. Because all experiences are notched in our memory. So this is beyond experiences. So there is no equivalent word from memory we can bring in. And mind, we can anything which we imagine, think, talk or transact in the mind is only using the words or a name, whatever may be that. But this is not falling into the range of anything that can be verbalized. But it is the truth. Even to tell the truth or say that it is Atman, Brahman, consciousness, awareness or anything of that nature is to reduce something which cannot be brought into a verbal definition to feel like it's a object. Therefore, the mind may tend, I'll try to look or visualize it or imagine it. But that is not the way to it. That is why when we talk about spirit, is something which is not visible, that cannot be touched, that cannot be known. This is the real word meaning of spirit. So spirituality is from that what the word has been coined. But we don't call it as a spirituality. Since the question is in English, I am answering it in that word because the word spirituality is in English. We have to accept it. But from the point of view, when I say Advaitam, there is only one. There cannot be a second one. The potency to have something other than that, Ananyatum, is Advaitam, is what is called the non-dual. So, philosophy, there are plenty of philosophies in the world, but there is only one Advaitam. There cannot be two.
Thank you, Binduji. I think in the chat there might be a few questions you might want to tackle. One is from Neha about fear. Why does fear exist? When everything is connected, why do we feel the separation from Supreme? Why do we fear losing people? That's the question, Binduji.
Dutiyad vai bhayam bhavati is what the Upanishad defines it as. When you have the second otherness, that is what is causing the fear. If there is nothing second one other than us, other than the awareness, where can be the fear be? So that is exactly the Taittiriya Upanishad. Idara mudaram andaram gurude adatasya bhayam bhavati. Even if an iota of separation is there from you, you will be afraid of that. So, really speaking, there is nothing to be afraid of because it's all only one. That one, when it is not understood as what it is or not known as that is what truly you are, the otherness creeps in our mind saying that I am the individual, the world outside is other than me. Therefore, the world is, I am afraid of the world. Not only that, what I possess, thinking it is separate from me, becomes my possession. It can be a man, it can be a woman, it can be a relation, it can be an asset, or it can be a imagination, feeling, etc. But the moment I feel that it is possessed by me, I am separate and it is my possession, then there is a chance of losing it. And that losing causes fear or sorrow or melancholy or anger also. In all our emotions, the Shatvairi, all of them are Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Malsarya. All of them are stemming out of the otherness. So when you know your reality, that there is nothing other than that awareness, I am the awareness, not the individuality which you think as Neha or Bindu or anybody for that matter. Our true nature, Swabhava, Swarupa, that is the word to be used. Then there is no otherness. The only time we experience that is when the otherness is not being experienced. That is in the deep sleep. But that is being told by that having become one with our true nature, Sadi Sambadhya, Na Vidu Sadi Sambadhyamahe, that we have become or I have now resting in my true nature where the I-ness also, as the individuality is also dissolved. That is the state of deep sleep which we call in the waking. But in the deep sleep, there is no transaction. Avyavahari. But there is no otherness. Therefore, I say I knew nothing. So when I wake up, I say I was in deep sleep. I knew nothing. There was nothing. I don't know where I was. I was in deep sleep. These are all the statements we make. Thank you, Neha. What is the other question from Celsius? Celsia. So the inside will affect the transactional dealings, isn't it right? No. What is that? Only to do with transactional. Bindoji,
It starts
are you
off with
seeing?
a question on Jatakam. She says about Jatakam,
Oh,
and then is it about transactional reality? Will the inside affect the outside? It starts off with the word Jatakam.
how can it be
And
separate? Because what is inside will be reflected outside, isn't it? What is inside will be reflected outside, because if you are anger inside, your outside will be anger. If you are loving inside, outside will be loving. That will be there, isn't it? Yes. So all inside will affect the transactional dealings. Yes, all inside will be transactional dealings also, because we our actions. See, that whole equation you should understand. Sense organs are contacting the sense objects. By definition, both sense organs and the sense objects are nothing but awareness or the consciousness itself in nature. We do not know that. So there is the otherness in the sense object, which is the mistake or called the avidya or ignorance. Because of that, the otherness is either wanted or unwanted. There is an expectation or hatred. Based on that, the mind will tell to act for that. If an expectation is there, the mind will tell act for accumulating that or getting that. If it is not there, hatred, then mind will say either disseminate that or move away from that. So this otherness which we are talking about the objects, is because I do not know who I am or what is my true nature. Therefore, I think that I am a body, mind, intellect with the sense organs and the organs of action as a unit. And everything else in this world is separate from me. That separateness from me is what is called the otherness. That is the reason why we start having that desire to have things, or this expectation to behavior of people, expectation of becoming rich, or expectation of becoming happy. All those expectations are stemming what is called the desire. Even to avoid things is a desire to avoid things. Actually speaking, by avoiding, you want to be in a state where that is not disturbing you anymore. Basically, all actions of ourselves are looking towards happiness, either by getting it or avoiding a situation where happiness is disturbed. So what ultimately is what is being told is that Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. For the sake of the self, everything becomes dearer. A son becomes dearer when he is your son and all you wanted to. But the same son, when he becomes a nuisance and becoming a problem for you, the same son is now unwanted. Because what? You still love yourself. You thought the son is bringing the happiness. You thought the son is now giving unhappiness. So the son, which was happiness, has become unhappiness. both happiness and unhappiness was not created by the sun. S-O-N, not S-U-N. S-O-N, sun. So that happiness in this thing is because the desire in you to happiness, remain in happiness, is what is triggering that. Not knowing that the presence and absence of the sun being next to you is immaterial for your own happiness. Because you were happy even before the sun was born. You assume that your son has died. After some time again, your happiness will return. So the objects are temporarily showing their presence and absence. But the happiness with which we are naturally there has not either increased or decreased by presence of the objects being there or absent there. But not knowing our true nature as happiness, we attribute the happiness on the object. How? Because it is the mind which is playing the game. When we have an object, we saw it, we didn't have a liking or dislike. The object was just like any other object. But the contact with the object of this by the sense organ created a feeling in the mind that I should have the object, the sense object. So the mind started in disturbance, turbulence. That turbulence in the mind prompts the actions, organs of action, to work towards acquiring the object of desire. Hindrances in the process are things which you want to avoid. So you start hating hindrances, you started liking the acceptances part. And when you saw that object is now in your proximity, the mind turbulence starts coming down because it is within the hand's reach. When you hold it in your hand, the object of desire, your mind is further turbulence has reduced. As the turbulence reduces, our happiness keeps increasing because that is our true nature. The mind is the one which is reducing it. And when I make it as my own or I consummate it or consume it, the mind is the most happiest because the mind doesn't have any more turbulence towards the object anymore. But after some time, another object comes, the mind starts turbulence again. This keeps on happening in our life. So we thought the objects are bringing happiness, but actually happiness is our true nature, which is getting hampered when the mind is in turbulence. That we don't realize it. So that is why Atmanastu Kamaya Priyam Bhavati. This is in the second chapter of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Yajnavalkya and his wife Maitreyi, they discuss this. So when we take Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we'll discuss that in detail.
Bindoji, the mind always asks, how can I remember that?
That is the problem with the mind.
You can, I know it's redundant for you, but for us listeners, so can you differentiate what the mind knows and the knowing of this? Because we use prajna. Maybe if you can give us some insight to differentiate the mind knowing things and the knowing
See
as
that
it is.
the function of the mind should be understood first. Mind is like a mirror. It has no potency of its own. When we wake up, our mind brings in all memory related things from our storage, which is called the chitta. As another part of the mind only is the repository of all our knowledge, what we have acquired till the time we went to sleep, deep sleep, including dream is in the memory. So when the moment we wake up, we remember our dream, what toward the end, what were we doing. Whatever dreams we saw earlier may not be there in the memory. Only toward the last one, or what made an impression in us will be remembered. Same way, the waking also, we will remember what is important to us, what the mind thinks important to us. There are so many things which has crossed our memory bank through our life, but we don't remember all of them. We remember only that moment what is required, and we bring it up. That who is bringing it up? The mind is bringing it up. But the mind is bringing it up because of definitions of the names and forms attached to it, whether it is a dream or waking. We bring it from our memory. And this is triggered due to what we call as latent impressions, or what we call it as vasana in the technical language. The latent impressions, that is the direction giver, not the memory by itself. That is, the memory to move in a direction is given by the latent impressions. So all these functions are happening in the mind. When these things are happening in the mind, the awareness which is falling on the mind feels that it is knowing. Actually, mind is as inner as, or what you call, inert or insentient as our physical body. But it is a subtle instrument, not like a gross instrument like our physical body. Therefore, it has got a purity in it, clarity, or what we call the subtleness, sukshmata. Because of that reason, it can reflect the awareness. Even though the reflection of the awareness is all the time, the nature of mind is to depend upon the sense organs, so we are always looking for inputs outside and inputs stored in the memory from whatever has come from outside. The mind is not aware of that awareness with which it is functioning. But when the mind becomes free from the dependency on the words, the awareness which is there in the mind becomes the knowing principle. This is what is happening in our deep sleep. We know we knew nothing. We also knew that we have not been killed or annihilated, or we have not stopped being an awareness. That awareness, what we are experiencing, we can't even use the word experiencing, but for lack of a word, that state in which awareness was there, but contents were not there, dependencies on the sense organs and the mind or the words and forms, when it was absent, we call it as deep sleep. Not in deep sleep. The waker calls it as a deep sleep. Because the waker knows only by words and forms. So the waking is a physical world. The dream world, again, which is depending upon the names and forms, becomes a subtle world which is not as physical as the waking, is called the dream world. But the dream world can happen even in the waking, be it what we call it as daydreaming or imagination, hallucination, etc. When both the subtle and the gross experience of the dependency on the way names and forms are absent, we do not know what we are. Because the mind doesn't know that state without names and forms. But we experience that when the mind is not mind, or what is called the Amani Bhava. That state where there is no contents is also awareness, where the awareness says that I knew nothing because there was no content. So the word used by Sureshwaracharya in the Brihadaranya Upanishad is that Vishesha Vijnana Abhava. That is, Vishesha Vijnana means a specific knowledge or specific definition. Absence of that is what is deep sleep. So when we are not experiencing the waking or dream or subtle or gross experiences, the experience or the awareness or the being nature of ours is in the same mind where the dependencies are not there. That is why when we wake up, we say, I knew nothing. As if there is a pratyabhijna or a memory of that state of the absence of knowing. Therefore, I knew nothing. It is not that absence of knowing, but it is actually speaking, there is no contents in it. Or the mind became devoid of dependencies on the words and forms. This is what the Taittiriya Upanishad also says. Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. Yeah, the mind is mind only when it is words and forms. It has got definitions to depend upon. That when it is not there, the same mind becomes awareness.
Thank you, Bindoji. There's a lot of excellent material for Shravana Manana. Very in-depth transition from mind knowing to a kind of quiet awareness of that itself. Yes, thank you. I think
Thank you. We'll close the room then.
I think we are at 10:30 mark here, or 10 o'clock mark in India. So thank you everyone for coming, and those who came up and asked questions, as usual, very engaging discussion, and Bindoji's clarity. If you want to do the Shravana Manana, is listening to this again will do the justice, because a lot of that is said in a series of questions. So if you have a particular question, there's a lot of depth in today's discussion about how one transitions from the knowing to the knower. Maybe we can call that the theme for today. So thank you everyone for coming, and tomorrow we'll resume again on at 8:30 p.m. where we'll continue with Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. And as always, heartfelt thank you to Bindoji for taking all our questions and being very patient with us. So over to Bindoji to close the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Breck, Srinivas, Satchidananda, Neha, Equalizer, and Karin for having come up and asked the questions, and for all of you who have been patiently listening. Patrick for putting the chat, Celsia for putting the chat, and others who also mentioned something in the chat where we have applied answers possible. Thank you being there. We'll meet on general question answer session on next Sunday. But Monday to Friday, 5 days, we will have Bhagavad Gita from next week onwards. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om, Balaji. Good night. Good night, everyone.